Black Diablos.
Rathalos. Greater.
We meet again.
And again and again.
But it's okay, because we're famous now.
Cool.
Though honestly, I really wish we weren't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be great if people didn't know about us. It's a lot easier to be a surprise attack carnivore like I am. I'm not even a carnivore.
We gave them incredible performances, and that's what they turned it into.
All of the effort I put into looking like a shark, following their directions, doing exactly what they wanted me to do, and defiling my own animations.
You know how hard it was to change my internal organs so that I'm literally, like, combustible? Like, I spent so long.
Unbelievable, really. Oh, but hey, whatever Hollywood wants, am I right?
Stop it! Cut it out!
Hello everyone! So we literally just finished watching the Monster Hunter movie.
We did.
And one thing I will say, straight off the bat, is it did do a really good job of transporting me to another world. The only catch being that other world was a world of garbage and sadness.
Yeah.
And I've tried to Google if it's possible to sue someone for time lost on something so awful.
Please tell me yes.
No, it's not, sadly. It's our own. Apparently we're responsible.
I guess there's only one thing we can do with this, and it's stop you guys from doing the same thing!
Please, for the love of God, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
None of it!
Literally none of it. Well, maybe
Okay, this 5 minutes altogether of this movie that's like, oh, that's really cool and Monster Hunter-y and wonderful. And there's just so much.
You can get everything you need out of this movie by going to YouTube and searching monster clip.
Right? Like, the parts worth watching are short and searchable, and that's the wonderful part of this movie, really, if we're honest.
Look, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just feel really bad, because obviously I love Monster Hunter, and I love Capcom, and I know they were like, you know, gave the thumbs up, and I wanted it so badly to be good. I wanted to tell you all, you know what? It's worth seeing it. It's got a few problems, but, you know, it's an alright time, especially as a Monster Hunter fan. I really, so badly, did not want to have to say most of the things that we will have to say. But we can't not review it. It's a Monster Hunter movie, and so many of you want to know. And we have taken this burden for you.
I think I've done my best to come into this with this like open mind, low expectation, ready to experience whatever I experience type of mindset as I possibly could, and it wasn't enough.
Look,
it just wasn't
there's
enough.
not a lot to say because there's not a lot to this movie, but we'll start with obviously the monsters, okay? And by that I mean all 6 of them. 6. An hour and 40 minutes, Diablos, Nursilla, fucking Cephalos, Rathalos, and a tiny smidge of Gormagal.
Yeah,
6.
I was gonna say, if we're totally honest about it, it's more like 4 with 5 seconds of Cephalos, and
like 5 seconds of Gormagal. Yes. And the total monster time is like 20% of the movie, and that's being generous.
It's so small.
There's so much slow, pointless, poorly scripted and acted and shot human interaction, and I don't understand why.
Tony Jaa was great,
don't get me wrong,
though.
Mr. Jaa is an absolute
Fantastic
pleasure
man, yeah.
and almost worth watching the film for. He is the saving grace. His role as generic hunter everyone can relate to is actually really good.
He's very good. He has some great moments. Tony Jaa is the best part of this by far.
Right? But the actual monsters, the Diablos looks like a Diablos. Cool.
Good.
It doesn't act like a Diablos.
Nope, not at all.
Not really. It breaks its own horn off.
Yeah, it breaks its own freaking horn off. Why would it do that?
It breaks its literal own horn off.
And then it's like, well, fuck, I made a mistake. Time to leave, I guess. What the fuck, Diablos? I'm gonna break my own horns.
Nursilla kinda looks like Nursilla, but not really. They kinda act like Nursilla, but also for some reason they're vampires now, and like sunlight just burns them.
Like, what is that? That's not how Nursilla are.
No, it's not. Should we just go get her again? Like, what?
What's the call, boss? Ah, son, ew. What? But no.
Yeah, right? That's not how it works.
Frequently.
Right? Apsaros were arguably the most dangerous threat in the film that took like 5 hunters working together to stop them running past them, and I don't...
That was the biggest hunter teamwork section of the entire movie.
It's a herd of herbivores!
Why is everything fire? Why when everything is cool is it going fire? What more elements?
Just spin in a circle! Just spin in a circle! Rathalos being a greater Rathalos just lets them do whatever they want with him. Admittedly, Rathalos got the coolest monster scenes. Just watching him destroy everything was really fun, and there was some cool stuff that...
It was cool because he was Rathalos.
Yeah, because it was Rathalos, and he looked amazing, and that was cool. You know, I was alright with the Rathalos scenes.
Oh, here we go. It's just gonna straight up eat them. Okay, that's sort of cool.
Yeah, that was the teeth coming
neat.
through. That
like
was
that
part. And then Gormagala, I guess, looked cool. He's a Gormagala, but again, there was like 30 seconds of him.
The fans of all these games are very passionate about the games, and so when you stick your head above the parapet and make a film about the game, you better get it right.
So, like, the one bar that needed to be cleared was, it's at least worth watching for the monster action. And that bar is...
It's debatable at best.
Yeah.
I would say.
That's the main thing.
You know, there's a couple of really big things. One of them I think we're definitely going to talk about later, so I'll leave that. But one of them is the soundtrack, and I know that we were talking about this with each other during the thing, but like, there's just zero Monster Hunter music. There's barely any music at all. It just feels very like dry.
Yeah. Like, it's so weirdly anticlimactic. There are scenes that would genuinely be transformed by Monster Hunter music.
They would be awesome to watch as a Monster Hunter fan with Monster Hunter music under it. They'd be awesome to watch as a regular non-Monster Hunter fan with the Monster Hunter music under it compared to how it is now.
But it's just weird.
It is.
And maybe for whatever reason they couldn't secure the ability to use them, and that's fair enough. But it is a Monster Hunter movie. Like, just a slight proof of hero. Please. Here we go. She's going for it.
Yeah, just clutch clawed, man.
With the carving knife. And the actual weaponry that's being used, it's so glowy and explodey.
Close.
Like, they're just off. They didn't even mention why the weapons can do what they do. Why a switch axe can blast waves of fire now, apparently.
One chase after.
What?
They explained away demon mode for dual blades as a thing that they do when you hold them in a shape.
Right.
It's not like a thing inside of you. Like, what?
All demon mode is, if you get 2 swords and put them above your head, it goes glow. Like, there's no, like, channeling your inner energy and, you know, it's an expression of will, or it takes away all the hunter mysticism, which is, like, you know, half the point.
No, it's just, well, if you hold them like this.
And people don't hold the weapons how they do in game. Maybe that would be impractical for a real person to do. That's entirely possible. But it just feels kind of, I mean, at least Greatsword got to cut Ursilla's head in half, which...
Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest moments of the whole thing, and I say
really
that as
good.
someone who isn't a Greatsword main, so...
But for a Monster Hunter movie, ultimately, the actual monster hunting was awful.
Not to mention the main part where they really dug into like what it means to be a hunter and to hunt something, where they were just like, all right, we need to prepare something, to do something, to have this preparation before a hunt, and it just doesn't help them in the slightest.
No, not at all.
Like, it was just such a
They
bad
spend the
representation.
first hour or so of the movie trying to get Nursilla's stinger to put Diablos to sleep to escape the desert, only for the sleep to not work despite it being injected into his fucking eyeball.
Literally the eyeball. Like, what more fucking direct source to the inside of something do you need?
Like, the first almost 2/3 to 75% of this movie is... we need to get past the Diablos while surrounded by Nursilla. And then half of that is Mila and Mr. Jaw just talking in a cave, having numerous martial arts fights that is nothing to do with hunting or hunters at all. It's just
cool.
so random.
It's cool that you guys can fight like this, but like it's not even a hunting thing. Like hunters don't martial art around the place.
The pacing is so weird. There's such weird framing and jump cutting and just such weird directing decisions. So much is stretched out to be so achingly slow, and so much is weirdly compacted to just, okay, I guess this is happening now. Day to night happening in seconds. Huge distances traveled at the turn of a scene when previously it was impossible. It's so jarring.
Like there was this one part where like they were just cresting a hill. There was someone at the top of the hill and they're like, hey guys, have a look at this. So 4 people are going to walk over, right? You'd think maybe you see them walk over. All right, maybe you use less time. Maybe you see them just walk up from slightly closer behind from the other person's angle. Nope. What you see is like 4 jump cut screenshots of them slowly getting there in different like claymation poses almost. It's so weird.
It's so weird. I don't understand it whatsoever. There's so much. Like, ignore Monster Hunter. It's just a badly shot, badly acted, badly written movie. Like, that's the sad truth. All right? Disconnecting the Monster Hunter part, which was cool to see on screen at best, and I was hoping for more as a Monster Hunter fan.
Yeah.
Okay? The actual raw movie here is just so forgettable and lazy and basic. It's so bad! Why is the heroic all the hunters come to help moment against fucking herbivores?
Like, this is terrible, but also this is better than the first hour of the movie entirely. The main couple of characters, as far as like the acting goes, where they did a good job, and then like the further you get from the main two, it just like drops so dramatically. And when you consider the fact that like the first third or more of the movie is devoted to these characters, it just doesn't work great for the whole thing.
And the amount of times something was reused.
Oh god.
Like an idea or a set piece or a shot of a monster, or like there's so much recycling, which is gonna happen when you're trying to make a Monster Hunter movie on the budget that they had, and CGI is monstrously expensive, but it just, like, the idea of a whole Monster Hunter movie just taking place in essentially a desert, the plainest, most basic, least colourful of environments with the least amount of life in. Like, I do not believe they wanted to tell a story in the desert. I believe they chose a desert because it meant they had to do the least amount of environment and monster work.
Absolutely.
And that's so sad.
It is. Like, this is literally just not a complete idea. It's like, we want to do this, but we don't have the resources. Let's do it anyways with what we have and see what we can get. But then even then, it's not, because like, there's a lot of technical stuff that is very questionable that they definitely could have done better in another environment and stuff like that. But just some of the general decisions and storyline stuff going on is just so brain achingly confusing.
Yeah, it really is. And just the costume design as well. The Admiral especially, he just looks so... He's like Uncanny Valley at all points.
It's scary.
And I know for a fact it's not the actor. He has been in so many things and he looks badass. And I really like him as an actor. And I think he's really cool. But as the Admiral, it's just... It's lost. It's awful.
Like whoever...
His hairstyle changes every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And he just acts so weird as he swings around what is supposed to be a switch axe, but it's like just explosion,
like
slap
blade,
the ground
sort of?
axe. You think the one thing that you have to get right in a Monster Hunter movie is accurate fucking monster hunting.
The monsters can sort of look right, but like even the weapons aren't functioning in sensible ways. It just like, you take the effort to be like, when you raise the dual blades above your head, it activates demon modes, but then you bring in a switch axe and it's just an excuse to make a wall of fire pop out of something.
What is she doing? Fuck off, Handler! Did she just die? She just got smushed to death. She just died!
That's not even what the switch axe remotely does as a function.
Even just little things, like why not have them dip arrowheads in Nersilla venom for sleep? Why have them tie the entire organ to an arrow? Why have dynamite attached to arrow instead of trying to represent blast in some way? Have him make like a substance or a paste, dip the arrow in and show her like with some fire that it goes if you liked it, and that's how you get blast coating. I just feel like they didn't try at all to take mechanical game things and sort of try and justify them in some totally plausible real-world sense. It's so weird.
It's like it's made for non-Monster Hunter fans, but in such a weird way that even non-Monster Hunter fans, like, to somebody that doesn't know Monster Hunter, this is just a terrible movie. To somebody that knows Monster Hunter,
yeah, like, you can know nothing about Monster Hunter and see an arrow with 3 sticks of dynamite strapped to it and go, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, like, it doesn't make it better than blast coating in the slightest, really.
No, it doesn't at all.
How about we talk about some of the more egregious moments, like, do you want to start with the fly or the chocolate? Both of those were pretty...
There's a product placement moment that is so overtly just existing. It's like it's written on the notes from the film production. Okay, we need to write a 2-minute scene to show off this chocolate. Like, and again, that's a budget issue. They needed all the money they could get. But yeah, I hate
the way it's
something
done.
that is like when you make a movie based on a film franchise, on like a game franchise or something like that, that's quite niche and has a really loyal, really loving following. You do it as a passion project, which doesn't mean you put like I don't pretend to be behind the business side of these things, and I know stuff needs to happen. Of course it does. Yeah, but not so in your face, take you out of the scene. You just don't.
It's like 3 minutes straight where they're just talking about a chocolate bar with this brand in half of the screen. But even what really bothered me is it's a chocolate bar. What is this, like, Hershey's, the only chocolate bar that can survive 5 explosions, 2 poisons to death, 1 web encasement, and 7 years in the desert.
And still being delicious.
In perfect squares. Not even lightly melted by her time in the desert. It's just so insanely immersion defying.
And then the entire worst moment of the film is when there was a focus on a real life fly. And you might be like, why is that weird? There could be flies in the Monster Hunter world. But it's so jarring for someone who likes Monster Hunter. You can't have an actual real fly. Just make up a random insect. But the idea that a normal fly has somehow parallel evolved identically to our flies, but in the Monster Hunter world, it just doesn't happen. I get it. A fly might have been on set and it flew by. I don't care about picking stuff like that out. But it was focused on. There was a sound effect for the fly. It was part of the scene. It was
purposeful.
Look, let's show the water is stagnant by putting a fly in it. It was a deliberate decision to shatter all Monster Hunter immersion from a fucking fly!
Like, you could have made a tiny Vespoid, even if you, like, CGI tiny little horns on the fly, just make it look slightly weird, but, like, there's no way that there's just a regular, real Earth fly in this fucking
Why not take the opportunity to put a big, weird-looking insect on top of the water that flies away? Just give, like, 6 creatures! 6 living things that weren't a hunter or a human in the entire Monster Hunter film!
And the 7th one was a fly!
Exactly! Oh!
It's just...
This is so much less structured than I wanted it to be, but it's just so... God!
I wanted to enjoy this. I even came into it with the mindset of it being terrible and still being something I could take some enjoyment from. And it's just like, it wasn't worth the experience to me.
I thought that it would be a bad movie, but something worth seeing as a Monster Hunter fan for the novelty.
Yeah.
As it turned out, it's like a 1 out of 10 movie if you don't know Monster Hunter, and it's about a 3 out of 10 movie if you know Monster Hunter.
That's what
I enjoyed nearly everything Tony Jaa was a part of.
Yep.
He had 2 genuine laugh moments with his incredible facial expressions. I liked visually how Rathalos and Diablos and Gormagala looked.
That's great.
And I liked about 3 things that the Rathalos did action-wise. Everything else was average to bad, and that's my final take.
There was like one scene with the Apsaros where it was like it turned into hilarious funny. Like it was bad, but in a really funny way. And if the entire movie had the energy of that scene, would have loved it. Yeah. It just wasn't.
Like there were like 5 minutes of a group of 5 hunters trying desperately to not be trampled by a herbivore when hunters slaughter monstrous dragons on the reg as they just spin in a circle with fire. It is bizarre, but at least that is amusing, even if it's in the wrong ways. but there is like 45 minutes of a Monster Hunter film that is two people talking in a cave about things that mostly aren't even to do with Monster Hunter.
They have like 3 martial arts fights in the span of 5 minutes to decide which one of them is stronger and to prove some sort of point, and it's just like, it's so unnecessary. Like, this whole movie would have been better because, like, it starts, Tony Jaa gets stranded from his other hunters. The movie would have been like 20 times better. We both said this. If it was just Tony Jaa getting stranded and fighting his way back.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's it. That's the look. There's no point in trying to break this down like a normal movie review, okay? As a Monster Hunter fan, there's a few moments that are cool to see. I enjoyed about maybe 3 minutes of my time watching it, like genuinely enjoyed. The rest was okay to what? And that's it. That's done.
Yeah, I agree. It's just sad.
So there you go, guys. That's the Monster Hunter movie that I so badly wanted to be good.
Yeah.
That was somehow even worse than I thought it would be.
I was hoping it would be good. I thought it was going to be good, bad. In the end, it was just bad.
So, there you go. Everyone, there you go. Like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time. Oh, good boy.
Goodbye. There's clearly going to be a sequel to this, too.
Yeah, there is.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.